Welcome to Speaking of Schaumburg. I'm Village President Al Larson. In this episode, we'll be talking with Kathy Blecker from the Spring Valley Nature Center. Then we'll talk to Donna Johnson from the Spring Valley Nature Club. Close out the program with members of a most unusual band. All of this and more here today on Speaking of Schaumburg. If you watch carefully, you'll find that Schaumburg is host to numerous birds of prey. Here to tell us about what you might see is Kathy Blecker from Spring Valley. Welcome to Speaking of Schaumburg, Kathy.
Thank you, and I'm here with a bird that is not native. He's a Eurasian eagle owl, and he is twice the size of a great horned owl that you would see in this area. Jack came to me as a request from another falconer in Michigan. She had had 3 babies and could not keep them because they're quite expensive to care for. They eat 10 to 12 mice per day, and owls are very good about killing vermin. So they are healthy in your area. They should be protected. And Jack comes from an area where, like in Asia or Siberia, they are protected. But once they are into Africa and into Europe and England, they're not protected, and they're endangered in that area. But Jack came to me, and I've had him for 5 years now, and he is quite the nice owl. He's imprinted on me, and I have to let the game warden come in and check on him. But that's part of being a falconer. The game wardens come in and check on your birds in your facility. But Jack is here so that you get to see one because they are not in this area.
How did you get involved in falconry?
I started out as a wildlife rehabber, and with that I enjoyed it and flew birds for Springbrook Nature Center. Did that for about 9 years, and it closed because of the expense of rehabbing wildlife. And with that I decided to become a falconer because I wanted to continue to fly birds. And with that you have to take a test, pass it, build your facility, have it approved, and then find a master falconer who will train you. I had already been trained at Springbrook, so it was quite easy for me to do this. And I am in my 5th year now, and I will be a master falconer in a year.
What got you interested in it?
Birds. It started when I was a child. We used to go, I lived in upstate New York, and we go along the lakeshore, and my sister and I would lay on the ground and watch these hundreds of birds flying over during migration. And they never came down, they just kept flying, and my mother didn't know how to explain that. So I went to Europe with my husband and during the Vietnam era, and then saw them flying birds in castle courtyards. And I thought, I've got to do this. And I came back to the States, but there was no place to train. We moved to Ohio, and then one day across my desk goes this note, "Do you want to learn how to handle raptors?" And I'm like, yes! So I went and did that. And then the process of becoming a falconer happened.
Do you fly them? Do you fly this bird?
Oh, I can't fly Jack because he's non-native. If he was to get loose, then I would have to tell my game warden, and then they'd come out and shoot him. They would track him, they would find him because he's so big, and they would have to put him down because they don't want crossbreeding of this large owl to other smaller owls.
There could be crossbreeding?
Yes, there could be crossbreeding. And I do have great horned owls that come to my yard. I live way out in the country, that come and talk to Jack, and Jack talks back, but there's restricted caging. They can't get to him, so he's inside calling them. If you see an owl like this in the wild, do not touch them. Have an adult or a game warden or an animal control officer put a towel over them. If they're injured, put them in a box and take them to a wildlife rehabber.
What's the closest rehabber
in my area?
Yeah.
Fox Valley Wildlife, or I will take them up to Flint Creek Wildlife in Barrington because I trained with that person who runs it, and we did this training at Springbrook. And with that, I wanted to be sure to get them to a good place. So it's Fox Valley Wildlife by me, and then Flint Creek.
Do you have any other raptors that you have besides
a red-tailed hawk, which is my falconry bird that I hunt with, and she is 8 years old, and she is doing quite well.
Where do you hunt?
I hunt on the farmland behind my property. I had the permission of the farmer to go out and hunt on that property. And I do go into Bolingbrook where there are big warehousing areas with fields, and I hunt on those fields also. Okay. But it's a pleasure to take care of them, make sure they're fed well. And I don't take many vacations anymore because I'm taking care of birds. So.
What's next in store for you in your collection of
Jack will outlive me, so I will have to find a person that will take him on. He'll live to be 60 years old, and he's only 5, so he's got a long way to go. And he will be passed on to someone who will give him and my other red tail good constant care. My red tail, she may be set free if I don't pass her on. You can pass birds on to other falconers or a wildlife rehabber who does education programs. I'd like to see Jack go into an education program because that's what he does at Spring Valley. He appears and has his own group of followers at Spring Valley.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they come in and, how's Jack? Where's Jack? And I only bring him in for Halloween. So they get to see him there.
Now, the bird's making some kind of
He's fluctuating because he's stressed. He's not used to being outside of his caging. Being a non-native bird, he gets to stay very close to where he is caged and doesn't get out often.
Okay. What kind of exercise does the bird have?
He has a large flight cage where he flies from side to side. Okay. He dances in the rain when he goes out, and he just beats his wings like crazy when he's trying to take a bath in the rain.
Really?
Yeah, and he plays in the snow, loves snow, and he'll flip it around. And also, if the wild field mice get into his cage, which they do, he'll play with them too. He'll throw them around inside his cage. The mouse is sorry they came in, but I do feed him quail, pieces of meat. He does get steak on occasion when he's putting out feathers. Okay. He molts once a year.
So Jack, and you have something to show us.
I have some feathers here from his most recent molt, and these feathers are his primary, and these are his secondary, which come in underneath. The primary, there's 12, and they are quite large, and you can see by the shaft how big they are. They're almost like a pencil in diameter. Wow. It's very painful when they go through molting. So, and that's what they used to use when back in
Benjamin Franklin.
Yeah. So these are feathers that I keep in case I need to imprint one. If he breaks one or it falls off out of season, I can put this back in the feather shaft that's still in his wing. We use super glue, cut it down to size, and put it back in. But he doesn't fly free, so I don't have to worry about that. I just do it for appearance. Because if you go out with a bird and it opens its wings and there's a hole in the wing, it makes people wonder what happened to that bird.
Yes.
So,
okay.
And he is right now trying to find a mate, but it won't happen because I don't have a permit to mate him. They would not want more eagle owls in the area. So it's all controlled.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay, thank you.
Interested in nature? Find out how you can get involved next here on Speaking of Schaumburg. The Spring Valley Nature Club is an all-volunteer organization based at the Spring Valley Nature Center here in Schaumburg. Here to tell us about what they do is the club president, Donna Johnson, and director of the Nature Club, Pete Justin. Well, welcome to Speaking of Schaumburg.
Thanks for having me.
How long have you been involved with
Oh, I've been involved with the Nature Club for about 12 years now.
Okay. And what does the president do?
Well, kind of have our meetings. We decide where we're going to disperse some of our funding that we raise. And then we also come up with programs. What we're doing this year is having programming each month at the Nature Center at our meetings.
Pete, how long have you been involved with it?
Well, I got to meet Ellsworth Meineke when I first came to Schaumburg in 1968, and I was on the Clean Environment Committee, and Ellsworth said his dream was to set up a nature center, and so I got to start with him back in, I think it was 1972, 74, in that area.
Yeah. Clean Environment Committee, that brings back memories, Pete. Yeah. It really does. Yeah. All volunteer, and we kind of ticked off at you once in a while.
Yeah, that's true.
So how many members do you have in the Nature Club?
Well, currently we have approximately 160 members. Most of them are lifetime members. And then we have the annual membership.
Where do you have your meetings?
We have it over at the Spring Valley Nature Center, which is right over here at 1111 East Schaumburg Road.
Okay.
And we have it the first Wednesday of each month, except for January and December.
Okay. What are some of the projects that the club's been involved with as far as the Nature Center is concerned? The library is one, isn't it?
Yes, we buy books for the library. We also provide funding for various programs like the Sparks program, Science Fair, the Meteor Show, and various other projects. We also have the monthly meetings that we sponsor, where we have paid speakers that come in and tell us about various environmental topics, and we also fund the programming for Spring Valley volunteers.
You're independent?
Correct.
And you raise funds for the Nature Center, and certainly the Park District's got to be pleased about that. Yeah. Aren't you on the foundation board?
Yes. Been on there 28 years.
Yeah. So the ubiquitous Pete Justin, he's everywhere. He's everywhere.
True, true.
Well, tell me some more about the Nature Club.
This is the 41st year of the Nature Club, and like I say, this past year we initiated the new programs and everything that we hadn't been doing for a number of years. And we're starting, like I think I told you about the new membership package that we're introducing for 2015, where we're actually giving back to the members. We're actually going to have little bonus packages of coupons and various type of little promotional items for them.
What kind of response have you gotten from club members regarding the change in dues and the structure of the organization?
They seem very, very receptive. They're very excited about it. We're going to have an official vote on it on January the 8th to have it go through.
So Pete, you're a director of the
Yes.
Nature Club, right? What does the director do?
Director?
Don't tell me a director directs.
No, he attends the meetings, and he actually I do a lot of advice, and I have some memorabilia, and I bring it back. We talk about what we did before, what worked before for us. Why not try it again? And it's a recycled type.
Did you bring some of the memorabilia with you?
Yes, I did. This is one of the outstanding items you wrote.
Yes. Schaumburg's gifted tomorrow.
And these were the, back in '87, we had the grand opening of the Vera Meineke Nature Center.
Yeah, and that was a donation, wasn't it? Wasn't that Ellsworth's wife?
Yes, he donated approximately, what, $50,000 towards this project to get it started.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful building now, and it just was renovated too, and they added, made a lot of changes in there.
Yeah, tell me about the new displays and everything.
Yeah, the dioramas.
Yeah, the dioramas are just beautiful. They're very user-friendly for the kids to look at things and to climb through like big tree trunks and see where the insects would burrow, and it's just phenomenal.
And you saved the turtles too, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
at least 5 there. I counted 5 the other day.
Oh, and they renovated that turtle pond. It just looks gorgeous. You have to get out there and take a look at it. Yeah. They put in these beautiful windows where when you walk in and you see the prairie, just it's like, it's breathtaking.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a prairie burn there once in a while, every year?
Yes.
Yeah, in the spring.
Yeah, I think Lynn Eichenberry is somebody who's been involved
Oh, Lynn, yeah.
for years with the club. And
years.
Still involved.
Yes.
And then I think one of the other things the club did was renovate the Merkel Log Cabin, you know.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
way back when. Remember the JCs were involved
The
in that?
JCs and the firefighters. And,
Yeah.
and they actually, in the Nature Club, they actually replaced the roof twice. A new cellar, a hot water heater, cabinets in the kitchen. The JC wives did all the drapes and everything, and it turned it over to the Park District. It was something as an all-volunteer effort to restore the Merkel Log Cabin, because some kids had broken in, or I shouldn't say kids. Somebody had broken in and trashed it, and they burned down a hunter's lodge right next door. And JC's took it on as a project, and it renovated it. It was a real effort. You know, and it's interesting because down at the lower level, it's very humid, and it was like fog, about 3.5 feet up off the ground. And they're in there and they're doing plumbing work and everything. And then they sealed it up for next week. When they came back for the following weekend to work on it some more, something had gnawed a hole.
Oh my!
So it had been there all the time that they were down there walking around in the
didn't
fog.
know it. Yeah.
Didn't know it.
They didn't know it was there.
Probably was a groundhog, but
Yeah.
hopefully. But it's kind of spooky. You come up there and you see this hole chewed through the.
Oh yes, it would be.
Yeah.
Through the board. Yeah. Right.
So yeah. So it's a shame that Ellsworth isn't here to tell us more about what his dream was, his Spring Valley dream.
Yes.
So, tell me some more about your involvement in the Nature Club and what got you interested in Spring Valley.
Well, I've always been interested in Spring Valley, and a number of years ago, Gene Tucknott approached me and said, "Would you like to join the Nature Club?" And I said, "Oh, this is really wonderful. I would really like to join the Nature Club," and that's how I got involved. I came aboard, like I say, about 12 years ago, and was on the board, director such as Pete, and then I was vice president for a number of years, and then unfortunately Gene passed away last year, and then I was elected to be president of the club.
They started some great programs over the years that I think one of them had to do with that ghost walk or something around Halloween.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so popular, yes.
Yeah, you dress up and then whoo, behind a tree.
Are you good at that, Pete?
No, I'm better at pancakes.
That's right.
Right.
The annual fundraiser, pancake breakfast, right?
Yeah,
Exactly.
March. That's coming up in March. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be another exciting time.
And there's a farm component too, isn't there, to the Spring Valley?
Yes, there's the Vulcaning Heritage Farm, and where all the heirloom animals, is that what you call them? Heirloom animals?
Okay, well, I don't know.
Animals that were from way back when.
Oh, turn of the century.
Turn of the century, exactly. Yeah,
Turn
it's
of the
1880s.
previous century.
Yeah, 1880s.
And pigs and horses and chickens and
Yeah, there's
1880s farm. 1880. German, good old German 1880s farm. Even with pig house and the smokehouse, I should say, and a summer kitchen, and it's a beautiful place.
And I think there was a barn raising back then too.
Yeah, we all helped. Yeah, we were able to reestablish a barn that was several miles away.
Yes.
Brought it in piece by piece, put it together, and did it in 2 shifts.
Yeah.
And the Historical Society helped on that too. So.
Yeah. Well, you know what? When the red light comes on, I've got to say goodbye.
Oh.
Thank you, Don.
It's been a pleasure.
Hey, Pete, good to see you again.
Yeah.
What's a vital band? Find out next here on Speaking of Schaumburg. The St. Luke's Bottle Band is a most unusual collection of musicians. Here to tell us about the band and their upcoming performance at the Prairie Center are Paul Phillips and Gary Clark. Well, welcome to Speaking of Schaumburg.
Thank you.
Now, is this the band here or?
No, we actually have 25 members.
25 members?
Right. And I'm the conductor.
Okay.
Gary's been playing in the band for a number of years. So.
What got you started on this?
Well, to be honest with you, we saw another group doing this sort of thing many years ago. We started in 1979, so it's been 35 years now. But it was just a small group, about 8 guys, and they played music on bottles, blowing on them only. Okay. And we thought it was so much fun to do that we would, try it ourselves. I have a little bit of musical background, but not a whole lot. But I got the organist at the church to tell me how to do chord structures and things like that. And started out just blowing on the bottles, but then we expanded and added a number of dimensions. And so
how many members do you have?
Well, it's roughly 25 now. It varies a little bit, but we have families. We have 2 generations in the bottle band, and
you have auditions for the band at all?
Not as such, but you have to have a certain character to play in the group. I will say that. We select very carefully.
I see you have a brown bottle there, and.
Yes. Well, I brought these because the bottle is actually a very versatile instrument. People don't think of it as an instrument, but we do. And of course, the first thing you can do with it is blow on it. Everybody knows you can blow like that, but you can also tap it to get a sound like that, and you can also pluck it like that. So we use all 3 techniques in making music, and of course the primary job is to make the instruments. We have to empty them first. So,
what might that be?
Well, as you can see, it's a standard 12-ounce brown beer bottle, so that's what we start with.
Okay.
Empty the bottles.
Does it have to be brown? Is there a difference in the tones?
Well,
the tonality of it?
Actually, yes, there is. We use the green bottles. Some of the beer bottles come in green, and those tend to have smaller bores, and they're better for plucking. This is actually a little big. So there are some variations that we need to account for. And then the bottles that we hit are mainly champagne bottles because they're thicker, and withstand the
Sure.
hitting better. And we have everything from a 1-gallon J&B bottle to little tiny, those liquor bottles, you blow on when you get on a plane, the little tiny little blow bottles. So we have a wide variety of instruments that we use.
How do you take care of these instruments? Do you have them all put aside? I mean, does somebody before a concert that they pour and measure and?
Well, tuning the bottle is actually a very complicated process. Some people we have in the group can tune by ear; they can just hear. But I need to have a little electronic tuner that you blow on it and it tells you this is in tune or not. And bottles will, if you let them sit for a long time, they will go out of tune. So we have to tune fairly regularly.
Plus you have the problems of saliva and evaporation and other things that affect the level of water in the bottle.
Right.
Do people bring their own bottles to the concerts, or do you have them?
No, we have them all prearranged.
Prearranged, okay.
And what we do then, as you'll see if they show the clip, the bottles are glued together in sets of 5. So one of the problems is getting from bottle number 1 to bottle number 5 and back and forth, and occasionally you can chip a tooth if you're not careful, going back and forth. And we have had some problems. Initially, I left bottles in the trunk of my car if we would do a job, and one time we lost some because it got really cold and the bottles froze. Had to make more instruments.
How tough that must be.
Oh, it's a job, but we do it.
How did you get involved with the?
I've been in the band for about 25 years, and my wife actually preceded me. My wife Barbara was in the band before I was, so I was a roadie before I was actually in the band. I had to earn my way in.
Okay.
And from the beginning, I played third bottle, which is a key part of the band, and I have had no musical training in my life other than accordion playing, which apparently doesn't count. So I've never advanced beyond
Lady of Spain?
Yeah, Lady of Spain actually is one of the pieces that we do in the bottle band.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, we do. But I've never progressed beyond third bottle, which is fine with me. I enjoy the opportunity to play it.
So is there a second bottle group and a first bottle?
There's actually 4 sections.
Oh, okay.
In each section, you put different amounts of water in the bottle to get the different notes. More water makes it a higher pitch,
Sure.
And so I've got it arranged so that there's 4 different sections, and then each bottle is different, and I have to then arrange the pieces, and the notation is simply by number, so the players know they blow number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's the way they do it.
What's the age range?
We actually have the youngest I think is about 14 or 15, and we have people in their 70s.
Actually, a recent octogenarian, Bert Larson.
Oh yeah, right. We have somebody just turned 80, so it's a wide group of ages and backgrounds. The music director of the church, I should mention, it's St. Luke's Lutheran Church, by the way, in Park Ridge.
Okay.
That's where we're from. The music director and organ is in the group. We have a couple of other professional musicians. And then people who just like to be involved in music, and some people that really don't have a whole lot of musical background but enjoy the comedic aspect of what we do. So it's a fun group, and we've been around for 35 years, so a lot of people have been in it for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. No, I saw you perform here at the Prairie Center, and I was very impressed.
Yes, we were part of a show with the Spring Valley Chorus.
Sure.
And, it was a lot of fun. We have a wide appeal. People. It appeals to people who know music because it's very complex, actually, musically, and yet it's got a lot of goofiness to it and fun, and so kids love it because it's kind of silly, and we wear outlandish costumes, and
What kind of costumes did you?
The weirder the better.
Well, tell me about some.
Bright colors, odd combinations of things, strange hats, anything. That was not part of the original group that we saw, but we just somehow added that to it. Told people to think outside the box and wear...
Or outside the bottle.
Outside the bottle, yes. So I don't do any designing or anything. I just tell people to find things that are very unusual. And so
now, we have a clip here we want to show it to give people an idea as to just how you sound and how you look. So,
okay.
Right here. And you started it.
I started it. Yeah, we did 3 pieces in our first performance. We were part of a church variety show, did another variety show, did 3 more pieces. Eventually said, gee, we could do a whole
How many bookings do you have?
Well, we do usually one major show at our church every couple of years, where we do 2 weekends of performances. We just finished one in June this past year. This was the 100th anniversary of our church, so we had a big blowout show called Let It Blow. Then we do various other benefit performances in the area. We're actually going up to Stoughton, Wisconsin at the end of January to play up at the Opera House up there. So that'll be kind of fun. Wow. And we've been on the Letterman show twice. That was a big highlight of our career.
That was certainly the highlight of my bottle band existence.
Yeah.
That was 18 years ago the first time, and then 2 years later we appeared again on New Year's Eve on the show, which was quite an experience because we were able to go to Times Square after we performed. And,
oh, sure.
Yeah. And we've done America's Got Talent. We were up in Minneapolis for that, and so we do a little bit of traveling, but mainly a lot of shows in the area.
Well, I look forward to seeing it. It's once again.
I hope you'll be there.
I will be there. I've got my ticket. I bought my ticket anyway.
Oh, good. So good.
Look forward to seeing you guys.
Thank you.
You know, being as goofy as you can.
Oh yeah.
And still being able to carry a tune.
Oh yeah. Well, we give a great combination of music and fun.
And so yeah. So if somebody wants some good chuckles and hear some nice music and walk away with a smile.
Exactly. Perfect.
It's your group.
Perfect entertainment. Right.
Well, thanks for being on the show.
Nice to meet you. Yes.
Look forward to hearing you and seeing you. That'll do it for this edition of Speaking of Schaumburg. Tune in next month for another whole new episode. Until then, I'll see you around town.